Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dreams Unlimited Travel Podcast. My name is John Magi, and I'll be your host. And in this episode, we're going to talk about traveling as a same-sex couple. I'm joined at the table by our panel of experts. Client Services Manager for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Kevin Close.
Hey, everyone.
Associate Producer, Rhino Clavin.
Hello.
And back in our production facility, we have our producer, Craig Williams.
Hello, not an expert.
Not an expert. In the general sense of experts, not specifically this topic.
I do travel with a same-sex person.
Well, I was going to say, this might be the Why Craig and Corey Travel Together show, but we probably won't go there.
I usually room with Rhino, and he spoons well at night.
Does he?
Yeah.
That's good.
Like a furnace.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So I was trying to keep it classy. That's gone downhill already. This is part of a series we've done. We've done traveling with children, traveling without children, as you get older, as a larger person. So this is going to just sort of button up my expertise being the old, gay, fat, childless person. So after this, I'm out of topics we can cover, just so you know. But I wanted to cover this because I think that, first of all, there are challenges that we face as a same-sex couple traveling, but there are also areas where we can talk to people and let people know that where things are good and things are easy, where people might be apprehensive to travel and make it known that they're a same-sex couple, that this could be an opportunity for them to understand, for those of us who have been doing it for years and years and years.
I agree.
I also want to say, too, that, I recognize that at the table, we are all gay men. So in an effort to make sure we had a female perspective, we talked to some of our lesbian friends and asked them to provide us some input. So we'll be sharing that as well. My first response was just to have Siri and Alexa on the show, but I don't think that they're out. So we're going to just use the input of our other lesbian friends to help us out.
Oh my.
Not appropriate?
Go ahead.
All right. So first and foremost, I think it's important. I think people know this, but I think it's important for us to let people know where we're coming from. Kevin and I are married. We have been together since 2001. We are out and about. We do not hide who we are. We travel as a couple. We've always traveled as a couple. So that's our perspective since traveling since 2001.
And are honest when people ask.
Right? Absolutely. Rhino, tell us a little bit about you.
So I've been with my partner for 10 years this year, and he likes to travel quite a bit. I travel with work, and sometimes the two of those things sort of collide together. So we do a lot of we at least do like a trip a year, I feel like. So,
And this isn't my brother and I are traveling together. You're out and about.
My 1950s roommate, yes.
Exactly.
Two confirmed bachelors.
Yes.
We are bachelor roommates traveling together.
Yes.
So I think that that's important for people to know that too, that this isn't about, hiding who we are. It's about going as who we are.
Yeah.
I also hope that folks who are not in our position, who are not a same-sex couple, will stick with us during the show, because maybe you'll understand if you have an unconventional relationship and something that doesn't fit the normal heterosexual mold, that perhaps we can help you as well with some ideas about traveling. So first and foremost, we need to talk about Disney, because that's usually our focus here, is traveling to Disney, Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line. What's our experience when traveling to Disney? What have you found that happens when you travel to Disney as a couple?
I'm going to say it's usually mundane. Disney is very adept at handling it. I mean, there's never a question. It's not uncommon as you're walking through Walt Disney World or Disneyland to see same-sex couples.
Oh, man.
Really. Same-sex couples holding hands. Disney World has a gay day. I believe Disneyland has one too. They're very accepting and open. They offer their cast members domestic partnership benefits. They are a very accepting couple. And I've never had any sort of issue at Disney with
For
this.
years. I mean, I think that in general, the social acceptance of gay people has improved.
Things have
and
changed
for
a bit.
most people, it's who cares. But for
I
Disney,
think that's the best side. That's it all.
Right.
That's pretty much all of it. At this point, we're just not interesting.
right, got to the point where who cares? But Disney's been like this for a long time.
They were leaders. They were definitely leaders.
Yeah. I've never like in my life been uncomfortable there, I should say, being who I am. I think it's a testament to those parks that they're very welcoming to, everybody from all walks of life.
And while I'm not judging a single person, as you walk through the park, there is, even on gay day, how do I put this without sounding judgmental? No one will question you unless you are being outrageous. And there are people who, on different occasions, have been outrageous. And Disney asks you not to be outrageous.
So let's start with actually maybe pre-trip. We talk a lot about pre-trip stuff, and we talk about going to Disney. What generally happens for us is that because we have different last names, it's not, people don't assume we're a couple. So there are things like, you go to Disney Cruise Line, do you want the beds together?
Yeah.
That's usually the big question that happens.
And we have been on a cruise where they separated our beds twice.
Yep.
And I finally went and said, no, just push them together, leave them together. It's okay. And after that, it was like, oh, we didn't know.
Right.
So, I mean, it's been very easy. I think if you're just honest with people, you won't have any problem whatsoever with booking a Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line. We even found it was accepted in Disneyland Paris. We didn't have any issue with that. Even so far as going to the Asian parks, they were accepting of the fact that we had asked for one bed.
Right. Not so much in resorts, that's not as much, but on cruise lines, because we tend to stay in a suite, we get the, do you want us to make up the couch? Or in Disney Cruise Line, it's the, should we do the fold out bed for
Do
you?
you want us to pull the bunk down?
Exactly. That's a whole different issue. Imagine a bunk. Oh my goodness.
I think it's just people trying to be polite and let you know that that's an option for you.
Right. Exactly.
I think it's more than being a judgment. It's what can I do to make this as good for you as possible?
Is there anything that would be a consideration as far as what hotel you'd stay at or anything like that? I mean, does that play into any of this at Disney? And
in terms of like where I'd stay at a Disney hotel?
yeah.
No, I think we're being
It's not like the All-Star Sports are very macho.
Yeah, you're not like, I don't want those cheerleaders to come beat me up.
Exactly. Can't stay at Art of Animation because the mean girls stay.
Yeah, that's a consideration.
That is a consideration. Yeah, I mean, I don't.
All-Star Sports too much.
But yeah, I think that's a valid question: is where will I be comfortable? And I think you'll be comfortable anywhere at Disney.
And I think another thing to note too is you should be comfortable like celebrating whatever you're celebrating. You know how Disney will always ask you on the phone when you're making the reservation or in the computer, whatever it'll ask you, are you celebrating anything? And sometimes there's that hesitation whether if it's like an anniversary or something like that because it's I have to explain they're two men, but they're very. I did my 10-year anniversary. We went to Sebastian's at a Caribbean Beach, and we loved it, and they were very nice, and they happy anniversary and a thing. And on Valentine's Day they were the same way too. There was not even a question. They didn't even ask on Valentine's Day, and that was where I was almost like, how presumptuous of you. And my hand on my hip like a little teapot.
Well, we do all know that Caribbean Beach is the gayest resort. So I mean that doesn't surprise me.
We were talking to some friends of ours, Helen and Maria, and we said, do you ever face do you have any challenges? And they said, no, they actually are quiet about it because people tend to upgrade their room or buy them drinks. And they said they don't know why. It's just people are overly generous and that kind of embarrasses them. That
they tell a wonderful story about the first time they came to Walt Disney World as a couple. They went to California Grill without a reservation. And they sat at the bar. They knew they could sit at the bar and eat, have food there. And they said they started to get free drinks and then free food showed up. And then they found them a table off to the side and they didn't know why, but they just thought it was great. So, at Disney World, there's a large number of gay cast members. So you may run into that where someone is now recognizing you and celebrating you as a couple.
We've actually had that happen.
When?
Oh, maybe you didn't get the drink I did.
I was gonna say, I don't think I was there for that.
I had both of them.
So again, I have to encapsulate, Disney, there's really nothing to worry about. I would also back up a little bit and say this, and this is obviously self-serving because we're the travel company, but look for a travel company that's going to accept as well. Dreams Unlimited Travel is gay owned and operated with gay employees. We don't care. We're not going to question why are there two guys in a room or two girls in a room. It doesn't really bother us. Expanding out from Disney, Universal. I found no issues staying at Universal at all. It was the same sort of.
I like to think of Universal as the heterosexual Disney cousin. I don't, but I mean, in my brain, I used to think about it like that in a weird way. And then Craig was the one who was like, oh, no, there's more here than there. And I went, oh, excellent.
Well, a lot of cast members go from Disney to Universal.
Yeah.
And Orlando in general has a high gay population.
Orlando has actually some pretty great equality laws.
Well, and Universal is actually pretty, I feel like can sometimes be more openly supportive of, a group like of gays. I feel like they had that Universal Rainbow Love is Love sticker that they made after the Pulse and everything. So they've been very they're not afraid to say oh, we support you,
Right.
So you shouldn't feel any sort of way about
Well, Disney as well. We have rainbow ears.
I would also suggest that Orlando with the theme parks that we've just talked about as being very accepting, we might be in a bubble.
Yeah.
That's where I was going to next. Okay. Go ahead. Absolutely.
We might be in a bubble where Disney is safe to be yourself and Universal is safe to be yourself. And I've been to SeaWorld. No one's ever questioned me, but I'm not looking for a room.
You can't see the whales.
All right. Sir, we don't let your kind touch the stingrays.
So I don't, again, we might live in that bubble. That sort of East Coast. Also, Orlando is more liberal than the rest of Florida. And I think that's true. So there are people out there who are from other places where you might not run into this level of acceptance.
Well, that's what I wanted to say to folks who might be weary about it from another place. Disney in general, Universal in general, and any Disney park seems to be in and of itself accepting. We travel places like New York City. New York City is very accepting. So let's look beyond that. One of the places that very early on in our travels that worried me, quote unquote, or concerned me was Europe, was our travels to Europe and how things might go over there. Because again, we are not hiding who we are. We're not, worried about people finding out. We're also not walking down the street arm in arm.
Yeah. I'm also not walking into a hotel and announcing it.
Right.
Screaming in the lobby.
Gay on the premises.
One of the things that we found comical in Italy was the language barrier. And we told them we wanted the beds together. And they just kind of looked at us, one bed. And then, I get my pigeon Italian, uno beddo. And the housekeeper looked at me and went, matrimonial bed. Oh, yeah, sure, that's it, right.
Oh, yeah.
So it was more just, it wasn't I didn't have a problem with it. She didn't have a problem with it. I think it was more just an understanding thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Eli came with me during the when we did the Viking Italy cruise, and we really had no issue anywhere we went. I've never felt uncomfortable or anything like that. But I'm also not the type of person that is like you said. I could hold your hand at some points, but I'm not a very big PDA person in general. So
yeah, we don't need that.
So it's one of those where I was comfortable, so I would speak to that part of me being personal. But I mean, I saw other gay people that were out and about that lived there and stuff. So I'm like, all right, they're cool. They're fine.
Also, we find younger gay men, younger lesbians tend to be more demonstrative.
Yeah.
Because they're coming up at a different time than Kevin and I came up, for sure.
Oh, I think to myself how much younger and more comfortable they can be with themselves, and then that projects outward, and so the younger you can start to be more sure of yourself, the more less self-conscious you'll be as you get older. You know?
And I think we can probably make a bigger deal about it than anyone else does. Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
Look, that's sweet.
is.
just pointing as they walk
Exactly.
by.
Look,
We actually have had some comical experiences. We went to Ireland and we got in a cab from a taxi from the airport to the hotel. And our taxi driver actually wasn't a taxi driver. We were with Adventures by Disney, and he was the gentleman driving the car. We didn't call a taxi. He was the ride that had been assigned to us, the driver, and was taking us to our hotel. And we were just sitting in the cab, and out of nowhere, he says to us, Ireland loves gay people. And I looked at John and I thought, what are we wearing?
Yeah.
And after that, Ireland had just passed their marriage equality laws.
Yeah.
So anytime they saw any cab driver, any restaurant where they saw the two of us together, they would tell us that they loved gay people. And it got to the point where it was like, this is funny.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I went to Ireland in 2007, I guess the end of 2017. Yeah. And they in Cork they were about to have or had just had their pride celebration. So it wasn't like they just passed it and they're still kind of not okay with it. They were like, we're all in. So there were like rainbow flags everywhere. And it's funny because you're saying this, it seems like everybody wanted to walk by and be like, hello, I love gays.
That's how it was.
Yeah.
Every place we went. And,
I don't want to say I was like surprised, but I guess I come from a very Irish Catholic area of the world, and you stamp all those feelings down and shove them inside. That it was weird to be like, now you're in the mother country, and they're like exploding with love there. So it was
we
weird.
were in Asia. And we get the question a lot. John and I are built very similarly, and they say to us, are you brothers? And I'm going to be honest with you. There's times when I'm busy, or there's times when I'm just not in the mood to explain anything, and I just say yes. Well, one of our tour guides was at Shanghai Disney,
Shanghai.
said to us, are you brothers? And John said, actually, Kevin's my husband. Well, she kind of went crazy.
She did.
She thought this was the best thing ever.
This was the most uncomfortable experience I've ever had. And she was happy about it.
She was. She wanted every picture that we took. She wanted one of us to be kissing the other one on the cheek or hugging each other. And she wanted to take a picture from behind us with us holding hands and walking through Shanghai Disney. And this was the best thing she had ever heard. And we just kept looking at her and saying, this is, we wouldn't do this any place.
Right, exactly.
And it's not.
Finally,
because
it's like,
I'm
you need to
embarrassed.
stop it. You just need to stop and go away because you're annoying me.
We were going to ride the Winnie the Pooh ride, and she was going to wait until she could put both of us in the same car so we could hug each other while we rode.
I'm like, no, that's not going to happen.
Imagine you embracing each other
Right.
the entire ride. Is it over yet?
It's like, we prefer different cars.
It's not embarrassment. It is not that I'm hiding it. It's just that, get off me.
It's hot. So tell about another story in China. I mean, this is kind of the flip side of it. Not that somebody was mean to us, but in engaging with someone who's not as open about it. Was it
We had
guide?
hired a car and a guide in some of our free time to drive around Beijing. And we had this very nice man. His name was Michael. And we were driving around, and Michael was like an ambassador. He was telling us everything that was good about Beijing and everything that was going on.
He was
and how
proud
modern it
of
was,
showing
and
how the city was becoming more modernized. And
his mother and father had retired at like 55,
Right.
and they were being taken care of, but they were allowed to have other jobs. And I said to him, so what are gay rights like here? And he said to me, we don't have gay people in China. Well, you got two.
Yeah.
There's two in your car. And I said, well, there's a lot of you. And I forget what the number was. And I said, I'm guessing there are. Do they not have rights? And he clearly made it obvious that he did not want to talk about this because there were no gay people in China. So I just let it go. But I thought it was a weird reaction.
Kevin said, do you know 10 people? He said, yeah. He goes, statistically, you know a gay person.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to hear it. Oh, no, we have no gay people in China and we have no gay people in Beijing.
And I said to him, is there marriage equality? Is there same-sex marriage? And he goes, no one in China would do that. And I thought, this is a big country. I'm guessing there's a couple.
I have some friends who his like first generation American from China, and I know that his coming out is a struggle with the parents who are from there. So I know there, which is the case anywhere you go, really. But I know that some other places, not everywhere is as fortunate as, I guess, as Ireland to be as lovely and
Well,
welcoming.
here's the deal. I didn't get in the car to ask about this. It was part of a larger conversation, and it seemed to fit in.
Yeah.
And his reaction surprised me.
Surprised us, yeah. Maria and Helen tell a story about when they went to adopt their daughter in Cambodia, and they said we weren't told that being gay was wrong or illegal or anything, but it was like, don't tell them that you're lesbians. It was kind of this sort of thing that they don't want to hear it, and they don't want to believe
Like they know,
it's
they
true.
just don't like being
Don't ask,
confronted
don't
with
tell is
reality.
what
Yeah.
it was.
But they said, she said, Maria said, how could they not know? Here we are, two women adopting a girl and a baby, and we're signing the papers as if we're, jointly adopting this person. How could they not understand that we're a couple and we're together? But it was like, sort of like denial. Don't tell us and we don't have to know about it.
And we did ask permission. We asked them if it was okay to use their names and talk about them. And they have a beautiful daughter, and she's college age now.
Which leads us now, so away from the Disney bubble and everything is great, to the experiences where things can be awkward. I think that you have to take precautions in some of the places where you travel.
Yeah.
I think that there are places that would not be open to us being a couple.
Well, that's what I was talking about, the safety of Orlando and the
Yes.
theme parks and the cruise lines. I think having a large gay employee base is part of it. But again, I think it's very accepted. It's corporate culture here. I've been places where we have not told people that we were, you don't make any kind of announcement. And I think everybody would have to make that decision on their own. There's been times in my life when I decided, come hell or high water, I was telling people. I think I've gotten old enough to the point where I don't feel quite as militant as I did at that time. But we travel, and I think we're kind of low key, and I think we just sort of go with the flow. But you have to be careful. Again, we live here in a bubble, and I think there's a great deal of acceptance, and I think there's a great deal of openness, but not every place is like that.
Where would you not go for fear of not being even safe, not only just
I
not
would
accepted?
not go to Turkey. I would not
Russia?
go to Russia. I go to Jamaica, but I have gotten off the ship in
Is it Falmouth?
Falmouth.
Yeah.
And I know that Jamaica has poor human rights human rights issues with stuff like that.
I think Haiti has a similar to Jamaica, like the areas where they stop on the cruise. If you're in that area, obviously
very
you're fine.
insulated.
But yeah, exactly.
And that's how it is when you go to Jamaica. If I go to Falmouth, it's that little fenced
Just
in
there,
area, and
yeah.
I don't go very much further. There are other places that I wouldn't go. I think that the Middle East, I would probably stay away from. As half of a gay married couple, I don't know that I would feel comfortable there. Just from what I read on the news, I haven't made huge, in-depth research into this, but I know that, where somebody just recently, Brunei has decided if you are found to be gay, they can stone you to death. And I'm not making that up. That is just was released on the news. If you're an adulterer or gay, you will be stoned to death. And I think, well, put that brochure away.
Exactly. Well, I think there's a difference between a place like Jamaica and a place like Brunei or Russia, that we will go to Jamaica. And my theory of a place like that is I think people should see us, because I think it's easier to hate a group if it's faceless.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, again, we're not holding hands, and we're not, fawning all over each other, but we've been in the jewelry stores where they said, "Are you brothers?" And I've said, "No, this is my husband." So, and it's usually, they're taken aback by it. But again, I don't feel fearful for my life there. Maybe I
No,
should.
again, but you're in a very insulated
Right, exactly.
enclosure with, machine guns at each door. So I think there's a difference.
Right.
I think you just have to use your best sense.
You know what I like to do? I do it I don't have a lot of international experience. It's just within the state. I always like to just Google. I might not go to them, but I'll just see what like gay. I'll just type in gay friendly. Where am I going to the area and see what kind of pops up. If it's like a lot of businesses that pop up, or if it's just bars, or if it's just like 2 bars, and you're like, okay, well, this is a little bit more of a, because probably the more friendly and the more welcoming they are, the more you can find sometimes of that sort of stuff. But then you could also go to a place that, like, I was just in Milwaukee, and there's like a rainbow equality sticker on every single one of the doors down there, and it was kind of a place that I was like, they're in the middle of having this sort of I don't want to say millennial or hipster, but it's people that are in like my age demographic are reinvigorating the city right now. So it's a lot of like-minded people like me that are now making this area that 20 years ago wasn't very friendly to everybody is now very friendly. Well, unless you were like Jeffrey Dahmer abducting people on the streets, or I don't know if it was him or the other guy, but
wow.
Yeah, sorry.
I never thought we'd go to Jeffrey Dahmer.
Don't travel with
something
him.
else too. You're younger than we are, so you would look for a bar to go to.
I might not even go, but that's my like sort of. I think about Orlando and the pings. Yeah, exactly. Like it's my way of, I guess, the only thing I kind of know how to look for. To see how is it spread there? Is it a dump? Is it like, I don't mean to be rude, or like a hole in the wall? Is it a bar that can hold 6 people? Then there's probably not a lot going on. Is it a huge bar? That says something about it as well.
I think John's right. We are not activists. I'm not marching. I don't have a pride flag on my car or my house or any of that. But I think being visible and being honest about who we are and about being out, we've gotten emails from folks who say, listen, I didn't even know this was something I could be. And I think I'm a happily married man. I've been with John since 2001. I can tell you the date we met. We met on September 18th, 2001. But I think just being open and visible and just being ourselves is a form of activism.
Well, and I want to say, not because we kind of moved a little past it, but
Is he going back to Jeffrey Dahmer?
No, yeah, back to Jeffrey. In one of the things I noticed, right, my first trip to Disneyland was 2015, and and that was my first trip to California. And so it's not just Disneyland that I love; it's California that I love. It's that area. It's the exploring all these different places. But I really feel like I'm always uncomfortable in my own skin. It's a lot of different reasons, but there I feel the most comfortable in my own skin, and it's really cool to see other people. I see people at the Disney parks that are just without a thought, the holding hands, wearing some are wearing the Mickey ears, some aren't, some are just holding hands. And I see a lot of different people that you'd be like, oh, I'm surprised that these 2 guys are holding hands. They don't look like the type. And I hate that that's engraved in my brain to think that way. But it's also, I come from an area where unless you were kind of like you're talking about, like the out and proud, ostentatious type, you were you were grouped into that category no matter what. There wasn't a lot like me, a little more toned down and stuff, and so it's kind of cool to see all this whole spectrum of people that are all like me, that are just living life.
You touched on something really good too. Not just Disneyland, the whole sort of. I mean, obviously Hollywood in that area, but we love to go to the farmers market and the Grove, and all of that is out there as well. We go to Malibu. And all over California, I feel
comfortable. Yeah.
But I also feel comfortable here in Florida, at least the places that we go in Florida. I mean, we are not closeted in our own town. That's for sure. People know who we are.
And nothing in our town would ping. It just wouldn't.
Yeah.
But
ping. I didn't know what you said there.
It's just, and I think I've gotten to the point where I in my life where I think if I just am myself, that's the best I can be. Mm-hmm. It's the best I can do. I can't be anybody else. Don't have enough bandwidth sometimes to be me, let alone be somebody else. So I think John and I are just ourselves. And I think that's an important thing. And I think going out and traveling, just being yourself, whatever that means, it's not just that we're doing it the right way. I think just being yourself is important.
We've had the opportunity to go to a lot of places. We've been to England, we've been to France, Italy several times, Germany, again, Switzerland. I can't think of an instance other than the uncomfortable situations you've mentioned, which are more comical than anything.
And it was a language barrier. She wanted to know what I was talking about, and she said, "Oh, a matrimonial bed." And I thought, yeah.
So other than those instances, I don't see anywhere we've ever gone that have been that way. However, we did take a Greek cruise where we stopped in Turkey and we refused to get off the boat.
Mm.
And I hope that's not being closed-minded, but I did not feel safe.
We had read something. I don't remember what I read, but it said that you should use caution entering Turkey if you were a gay person. And I thought to myself, I don't want to go someplace where they don't want me.
Yeah, it's kind of the aspect about being who you are that I don't think if you're not dealing, you can be in your own skin. Like I could be by myself there and they're like, well, how will you know? And I'm like, well, that's been the thought in my head my entire life is in school. How do they know? How are they going to know? Like every move you make, you going in and out of your locker, like you just always think to yourself, am I doing that too much like this? So even if they're like, oh, well, how will they know? I don't want to live like that anymore. I don't want it to be like when I was younger, just always obsessing over like not being able to talk a certain way or say certain things or saying I liked certain stuff. And just because I felt like people are judging you, like that's our life is people are always judging us, So it's one of those hard things that you grapple with that sometimes I don't need somebody who isn't gay to lecture me on that and saying that's ignorant because I'm like, well, that's my life, and so I agree with you. Like, if you feel like you're going to a place that they don't want you, enjoy the boat. The ship will be great. Yeah.
There's also going along those lines, though, too, in keeping with our conversation. That's one thing to closet yourself off. It's harder to do when you're with your partner.
Oh, yeah.
And you're experiencing something together.
And you're wearing wedding rings.
Yeah, exactly.
And
you're having a whisper fight in the airport.
That was for you, Lauren.
This is not the right gate. This is the gate. Sorry.
There's a campaign. It gets better, and I think what happens as you get older is you make yourself a community. I don't have to go to school. I am not now working in a large office, a corporate office where I have to deal with a large number of people. The people I surround myself are with people who care about me and love me. And I think that's easier as you get older and you make your way in the world. Mm-hmm. I think when you're younger and you have to be put into those situations, what you're talking about, I went through it too.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, well, I'm only going to wear certain colors.
Right, yeah, I was going to say
I'm going to dress a certain way, and I'm going to wear a certain kind of shoes and things like that. There are people who would tell me, well, that's changed, hasn't it? I just think what happens is you get to make your life better. You get to choose who you are around. You get to choose where you travel. So I think
there's another thing we do too is, we go with people we love and who, are close to us and we know accept us. So we travel with other couples that, this is who we are.
We do
together.
large groups of people, large groups of people who go with us that listen to our show.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, you're going with the Diz Unplugged podcast, so you must have been paying attention. So none of this should come as a surprise.
Well, and I think about the other side of that. So like the Italy cruise, there's, like 100 of us or more than that. And, and I met, same-sex couples on that. And I think, there's not the guarantee that they're going to be able to be with one of us at any point in time. But what a friendly group of people we had created that were, and friends we made on that trip. And I always kind of hate selling a trip like that because, the ABD where they're like, you'll make friends for life or whatever. But I like on the ABD that I did in California and the Italy cruise, I still have these people that I had never known before. I understand that they watch the show and stuff like that, and now there are people that I'm like, I'll be friends with you wherever I go. I think in the world.
I
And
hear this
unlikely people make friends. too,
Exactly,
right?
yes,
It's like
yeah.
you think people from different walks of life. You think
Ages,
wow,
different ages,
they
everything.
would never
yeah.
meet in real life, quote unquote.
I hear this a lot with our groups, our ABD groups, that no one is looking for us to be a gay group.
Right. Yeah.
But the fact that we're together and you're there with Eli and Pete, I think that makes it safer for other people who don't feel the need to make an announcement,
Yeah.
but know that they're going to be accepted for who they are.
And I want people to know too. There's a difference between, because a lot of time you think, they're gay friendly or they're this. And I know there are like the cruises that are the gay cruises, so that's specifically designed to an itinerary for people who like to maybe go clubbing or that sort of social event and stuff. But it's like what you said. It's more of there's another less flashy way, that if you're somebody who just is you, and you're not into that, that party, and stuff like that, you can still come to a place like, this sounds like a commercial, but to Dreams are, where we've had people like you, like me, like Pete, who have gone around and done some of these places, and we can tell you, this is my comfort level. This is how I like to go when I do this, and so I don't want to be like, this really does sound like I'm going to ding at the end of this, but it's somebody you can trust to really say, it's this type of an environment. If you are this type of a person, this might be for you. If you are not, then it's not for you. Like we're not we're not the half naked cruising type, in the Speedos on the boats. Like,
Exactly.
and there's nothing wrong with that if you are. It's just about knowing the type of
I
experience.
just
We're
want to
gonna give you
separate those a little
We're going to give you the truth is what we're going to give you.
Right.
Our truth.
Our
is.
groups are just a group of like-minded people who love Disney.
Yeah.
I don't bring my white thong on those kind of trips.
You have a white thumb.
No, do you want to poke your mind's eyes out?
I realize that. Wow.
It's just, I hear it a lot that you make it easier, you make it friendlier, you make it seem like it's okay. And I think a lot of times there are people who are either in a same-sex relationship or just gay people who want to know that they're going to be accepted. I think that makes it easier, and I hope that does. I think that's a wonderful outcome of something that we've never advertised. Come with us, we're gay. It's not the same, but the people who travel with us, if they don't like that, they're quiet about it.
That is true.
So
I've never had anybody be vocal about that part of my life.
I had
with
somebody
anybody
say to me
since I'm
one
like-
time, I don't know any gay people. And I said, do you walk around saying that? And he said, yes. I said, that's why you don't know any gay people.
Yeah.
And that is a changed relationship that's gone on for a very long time. And I think what happens is, and John said this right at the beginning, once you get to know gay people, you realize we're kind of boring.
Yeah.
We're not that exciting.
Especially when we're married and older. I mean, you just fall into typical married couple stuff.
Right.
We're not looking for, hey, listen, there are travel agencies out there that specialize in gay travel, which are, as Rhino said, partying and perhaps people looking to date and looking for a different experience. That's just not who we are. So we hope we got that through to you. Any last minute words on or last minute advice for same-sex couples out there who are worried about traveling?
I think just, do a little. The great part about Dreams is you have agents who can help you, get that temperature and of the area and stuff like that, and can help you with maybe you want to do some of the research yourself. If you're a little nervous and you don't want to rely just on the agent, but they can help you with the questions that you need to know. Maybe you should ask or something like that. So I just, be open to it. I guess, just make smart decisions. That's all.
Make good choices.
Yeah.
All right. That'll do it for the show. We hope you guys get something out of it. We hope if you have any other questions about this topic, feel free to write to us. You can write to me, John at Dreams Unlimited Travel, Kevin at Dreams Unlimited Travel. I don't know your email address.
I can't help anybody.
Don't
I
write
can
to
barely help myself.
He couldn't even open his locker.
I just told you the issues.
Excellent. Thank you guys for helping me out and participating. Thank you, everybody at home, for listening and watching. We hope you have a great week, and we hope you have a great vacation.